Women Innovators. Interviews with women with big messages and big missions, sharing their stories to inspire you to live your passion and step up to make the world a better place. Here's your host, Tammy Patzer.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited because today I'm going to be speaking with Lauren ANGELO. She has been curious and involved in health and wellness her entire life. Lauren is an avid yogi, runner, blogger, and wellness advocate. Lauren has been practicing yoga for more than 10 years, and she's completed both her 200 and 300-hour teacher training programs. Her writings and other offerings are meant to be authentic, genuine, and most important, helpful and relatable. Lauren believes that we are all connected and together in this journey of health and wellness. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful, beautiful intro. Thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. I'm really excited to talk to you because I'm one of those people that I tried to do a yoga class on television, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is hard work. So I kind of, let's just say, I'm not someone who practices yoga, but I probably am someone who should. But I really wanted to talk to you today because we're living in a world where yoga typically would have been something that I would go to a yoga studio. I know there's like hot yoga and all kinds of different styles, but I wanted to ask you, how is the world of health and fitness changing in the world now because of the fact that people, in some cases, must stay home?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Tammy. It's changed quite a bit over the last few months. There's been a wild transition and kind of a fast and furious transition from, being able to arrive at yoga studios and practice on a regular basis to instead, having to log in and mostly to Zoom, very similar to what we're doing right now, and taking a virtual class online. So it is quite different. Having said that, though, I think that there have been like silver linings, and there definitely have been a lot of learnings to this transition and this shift. And I also think that the opportunity for being a yoga teacher and being even a yoga practitioner in the future is going to, there'll be more opportunity. There'll be more opportunity. And I think there'll just be a better, there's more access to yoga than there ever has been.
So that's interesting because you said that there is a lot of silver linings in this. And I know that some people, their world has been literally flipped upside down, and maybe they're not seeing the opportunity the way you're seeing it. So can you tell me what some of the silver linings are?
Yeah, I think that, of course. I mean, it certainly has been this transition and completely flipping, life upside down as we know it. But, I think some of the things that others can consider, or that we can consider, is, how can I reimagine, or how can I take this time to reinvent, or just maybe reconsider my life as it was versus what my life could potentially be moving forward. I think in a lot of ways, this has forced us to slow down, and with the ever advancement of technology, and it felt like as things continued to develop, the world got faster and faster and faster until all of a sudden it's kind of like somebody slammed on the brakes a little bit, right? And I think that through this, we certainly, a silver lining has been this appreciation for technology, in that we're using it. I believe that we're using it in a way that is practical and actually for its genuine use in conducting business and using it for the access and the advantages that it actually has on a daily basis versus scrolling through social media, right? So there's a large difference. I think we're all guilty at times of wasting time or allowing social media or just the access to the internet, for those of us who have it, to be a little bit of a time suck. And I think that now that we're using it as pretty much one of the main ways, if not the only way that we communicate with others, we probably have a connection to it that is a little bit more respectable, maybe is the best word to use, if that makes sense. I personally find that if I'm on Zoom most of the day, all of the day for my work, which I am, by the time like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock rolls around, Tammy, I genuinely shut it down. I really am like, okay, I am putting this away. And I'm okay with that. I really feel like I'm going to spend more time outside. I'm going to spend more time in nature. I'm going to get fresh air. And I'm going to think about how slowing down the pace that I was at prior to COVID-19 has really influenced my ability to go inward a little bit and figure out what is it that I would change, or what is it that I would continue to do once this kind of re-entry, as I have been calling it, happens, right? Do I want to go back to the way that it was? Or are there things that I have learned that I would incorporate from now always, right?
Yes. So you said re-entry.
Yeah.
So as we start going into re-entry, and I think you're really right. It was almost like, the world was spinning so fast. And
Yeah.
Go. And it's like, you're online, you're running from here to there. And here you're in this yoga type situation where that's about calming down and going inside yourself and trying to reconnect that mind, body, soul connection.
That's right.
And like you said, most people and their relationship with social media was like scrolling, taking it to bed with them.
Yes.
Waking up in the middle of the night. Oh, what did somebody say on Facebook?
Yeah.
That type of thing. It was almost like this addiction.
That's right.
Like you said, now, because you're using it as a communication device and a tool for work, now you actually look at it like what it is. It's a tool.
Yes.
Put it down, go outside, disconnect.
Yes.
And do that. I actually like that. So for people, I really am interested in hearing your perspective for people in the health industry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you able to charge for your services on Zoom? Do you see other things that you can incorporate into your business so that you can actually expand your business after we're released or we've got to re-enter?
Right.
Do you see yourself going back to the studio?
Yeah, there's such good questions, Tammy. For me personally, I always see myself going back into the studio and being a yoga teacher in a studio, so long as the world will let me. I was talking to some fellow yoga teachers here in Boston just yesterday, and I think a lot of us feel the same way. Even if we can teach classes that are, 5 to 10 people, much smaller groups, there is always going to be that human connection. And by the way, I also think that is a silver lining that we may have taken for granted human connection, because it was probably something that we never expected to go away as it has gone away. And so we used technology to kind of almost like hide behind it. And now that human connection is taken away, it kind of feels like, at least for me, and I think for a lot of people, we're craving it and we're wanting it back, right? So it's kind of like that thing that we took for granted. So to answer your question, I never see myself not going into a yoga studio or being a yoga teacher face to face with my students or with students, practitioners. I hope that opportunity always continues. I think that there are plenty of opportunities to absolutely make money and continue my craft or continue the craft of being a yoga teacher online while still being able to get revenue and get paid and not having to do it for free. I am lucky enough to be affiliated with studios where they made the business decision to keep their doors open virtually. And so those individuals who had passes or they had monthly memberships, they could sign up for the virtual class offerings that we have via those mechanisms, right? Via those class passes or the monthly membership that they had. So there is a way, and yes, I'm not teaching as many classes as I was. I'm still able to connect with my community via technology. And so it is really a wonderful thing. And I will say that, another silver lining that we as a studio and a local kind of community have discovered is that our business or our studio was only far reaching, a couple of towns over, right? So because of the access of having to get into a car and drive somewhere, it's limited. Whereas now, I live here in Boston, my family is in New York. Some of them have never taken my yoga class. They have access to my class virtually. And for that matter, anybody in the world could sign up for my virtual classes, right? And so it actually broadens. Again, like I said, I think that yoga has actually never been more accessible. And so that is, for me, the silver lining that we might not see right away. And so I think that if I had to take a look at my business, my Lola Yoga business and how it currently is established, it is established via my connection with other local yoga studios, right? And I want that to continue, but I also think that there is an ability to widen that presence in still having offerings online after, again, what I call re-entry into whatever that might look like. But yeah, I think the practice of asana, so the physical movement from pose to pose, is an opportunity to be taught online, which I currently do. But then there's also opportunity to teach meditation and mindfulness, and there's plenty of apps out there for that. But there's also the opportunity to do it live virtually as a class and as a community. So I really do see this broadening of what we once thought to be the model of, you have to go to brick and mortar and you have to enter into a building and you have to go into a studio, to all of a sudden oh no, I can actually do it from the comfort of my own home. And that is also a silver lining, because I can't tell you how many people have said to me, I really want to try yoga, but I am so intimidated to walk into a studio. I don't think I can bring myself to do it. I have had people reach out and say, you know what, I was able to do it from the comfort of my own home. And I actually feel like I've built up the courage to be able to walk into a studio once the doors open again. So that for me is it has been incredibly fulfilling to hear those things.
It's really interesting to me because I've been working from home since 2009. And of course, I interview people and talk to people, but I guess while I was here, doing my thing from the computer, the rest of the world was still driving back and forth. I used to drive, commute, and that was half each way. So for me to work from home was like, yay! But it's interesting because as you were talking, it made me really realize that our world, even though we're staying at home, has expanded.
Yeah, that's right.
Because now, like you said, people all over can do the yoga classes with you. and you can lead them in the guided meditations and everything. People, they like the technology of, say, the guided meditation apps that they can listen to. But again, people really do like the interaction and being able to see one another. For example, I recorded this interview so that I can see you and I can see your body language. I can see your smile and everything that you do. So I know that we're, connecting.
That's right.
And having a real conversation. So I think that you're really right. All of those things are big silver linings. If people just say, oh my goodness, I just have an opportunity that if I choose, I can work from home. I can, take my 24 hours in a day and cut out, whatever 3 to 4 hours that I used to spend in the car. And if I want to have Lauren be my yoga teacher, she can be my yoga teacher. I don't have to move to Boston.
That's right.
So that's right. Really, really cool. Now, you were telling me earlier that you mentioned that about people who have passes or they had paid memberships, but you said that you've put together something really special for first responders. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I've been working with first responders through a few organizations here in Boston. I actually kind of in like my former life worked for an organization when I was in the corporate world. I worked for a nonprofit that created safety codes and standards for first responders. And so I worked for them for 5 years, and I really grew a love for first responders and what it is that they do and how influential and helpful they are in the community and how giving they are of themselves. And obviously through COVID-19, it has been just incredibly, humbling to watch what it is that our first responders are doing to help keep us safe and to allow those that are sick to hopefully recover. And the 24/7 care that, all first responders, doctors, nurses, EMT, police, fire, I mean, it's endless. And so I approached one of the local studios and I had said, I really want to offer a community class. And, it's $5 a class for the class. And the money goes to fund a first responder scholarship fund. So ideally we would get first responders to actually take the class. So again, it's a $5 class specifically for first responders. And then, if there is if there's a need out there for somebody who wants yoga and can't afford it financially right now at this time, the money will go towards a scholarship fund to help pay for classes for our first responders. So it's kind of like this full circle, right? Like, of course, anybody can attend for the $5. And as we've already established, it's globally. So, $5, but the fund will hopefully go to really help our first responders and our local community members who are in need of yoga and right now just can't, for whatever reason, afford to pay for it.
Wow, that's really exciting. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, what is the best way to do that?
You can go onto my website, LolaYoga.com. It's LOLA yoga.com. And you can click on the little envelope there and shoot me an email, go to the contact, sign up for my newsletter. I also have a podcast and a blog. So there's a lot of wonderful, resourceful information there that you can read through if you are thinking about getting into yoga or if you do need some tips on mindfulness. There's a lot of really nice information there on that website.
So what is your podcast called?
It's called Where I'm At or Where I'm At. It's just kind of all lumped together, and however you see it, you see it.
Where I'm At. I love that. So I also wanted to ask you about a project that you're involved in with Tam Luke, which is the Boss Up Project. And I just was really curious on why you wanted to be part of Boss Up. Yeah,
so when Tam actually reached out to me about the project, I I really wanted to be part of it almost instantly, but I think I had a reservation of, and I talked to her about it. I was like, do I have enough to talk about? Like, am I somebody who bosses up? Like, what is this all really about? Right. I think everybody has that initial kind of like, I don't have enough to say. And then the more I talked to her about it, the more I kind of was like, well, maybe I actually do have a lot to say. And, I do have a message that I really do want to get out there. And honestly, Tammy, I've told a lot of people this, but I feel this more and more every day, now listen, I feel very lucky and blessed. I really enjoy and love my life. And I just can't say enough about how blessed I feel. But I think that even through COVID-19, I have recognized things about my life where, I do kind of feel like in so many ways, what are we waiting for? What is it that we're waiting for? If I'm not going to take a chance now, then when would I take this chance? Right. So I think that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to be part of this project, is just to really start to get my message and my story out there of empowerment, and specifically during this time, what it is to, live this life of yoga and being a yoga teacher and a practitioner, and the learnings that I've had along the way of living this practice on a regular basis, and the learnings that I want to share, and hopefully, empower others with the information that I have learned, and vice versa, right? I say this all the time. The students or the practitioners that show up into my classroom, or even virtually online, that reach out to me after, many times they teach me more than I feel like I teach them. And so, I think that right now is a time for us to, I think the words that I've been using are reimagine, reignite, rediscover, even rebrand or relaunch yourself towards what it is that you really want. Because I think we have all genuinely learned that there is no time like the present in the last few months. So that's really what interested me so much after I talked to Tam, is just, I do have this brand and I do have this message, and there has been so much that I have been trying to get out there. And I think that there's no better time.
I love that when you were talking about reimagine, and one of the things that I've been working on is reinvention journey with people, because this is a time of what I see it as a foundational time. All of the things that you were putting off,
that's right,
you didn't have the time to do. Now's the time to set up your foundation, because then when it's time, you're going to have everything in place. And I think you're right. And what I'm seeing and hearing from you is that you've got the vision of how this is giving you, like you said, the silver linings.
Yeah.
And that you're able to see that, oh, it's all good. I was forced to slow down, reevaluate, take a look at where I am, where I'm going, and how can you use yoga as a foundation. And then, like you said, and then I can teach some mindfulness. I can add it into this, and it's global now instead of just being local. I think that's the big message that I'm hearing from you today, is all of a sudden Lola Yoga, which was this little yoga thing, is now global.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I, even though I never really wanted Lola Yoga to be like a brick and mortar space, my objective was always to be this connector, locally in a community where it was, here's where you can catch me. I'll be at these different spaces, offering these different workshops, all within the Boston area. And now, to your point, it's, it's anywhere. So, it's been a really, really fun thing to see. And I also think that probably at first glance, I think a lot of people or a lot of yoga teachers that I know have this fear that it's not going to look the same. And I think that most of the world in some ways probably won't look the same. And I think change like that can be very scary. And I do think that yoga and the practice of yoga and mindfulness is a tool that can help us through these fearful times of change. It is one of the greatest tools that I believe that there is out there to help guide us. And so it's not that there shouldn't be fear. It's that there should also be thoughts of opportunity of what is new and exciting that I can learn and use that I might not have had access to or seen before based on the shift of what's happening in the world. And so that's what I really hope people get out of this, is that maybe when you first look at things and change is happening, it seems scary, and that fear is stopping you from actually seeing the opportunity that change can bring. So yeah.
Well, I think that you're on to something, Lauren, because yes, change is scary, but when you're able to just stop and really open your eyes and see the opportunity, you'll see that, wow, I had the opportunity to just stop and take a pause and to reevaluate everything in my life. And now I can push this restart button and see that it's not necessarily a bad thing to change. And I really like your concept of the silver linings, because you really did name a lot of them, that if people just stop and use that mindfulness, and they can use yoga to help them to connect and to start thinking about how their life is actually going to be better now, because they had this opportunity. Can you imagine, just in the fact of family connections, of how people have actually gotten to stay home with their kids and hang out with them and be with them and talk to them? I mean, I think about my kids who are now in their 30s and one's even 40 something. And I think, wow, how cool would that have been if I would have been able to spend time with them instead of hauling them to the daycare because I had to work. So there's a lot of blessings in the situation right now. So before I let you go, Lauren, again, everyone, I just wanted to remind you that it's LolaYoga.com. Go check it out. Is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with today?
Just that, I hope that everybody really does take this time to think about who it is that they want not only to be and but what it is that they want to become and offer out into the world, and put it down on paper and take time to set goals for yourself, and don't be afraid of them, right? Make them, maybe it's little goals, 6 months, a year, 2 years, right? 5 years, 10 years, but start small and build from there. But I hope that people really do realize that, as scary as this has been, and I do think that there definitely has been a lot of fear, and rightfully so, it's a little bit of a wake-up call of, we don't get to do this life over again, so far as we know. And so if this is the one that we have, why not take this time to sit down and really bring mindfulness and purposefulness to what it is that you truly want out of your life. And if you're on the flip side of that, or the other side of it, and you're doing that and you feel good and you've gotten through and you're on the path that you want to be on, then, I really appreciate and send just congratulations to those people who are doing it, and be sure that we're all helping each other along, right? We're all encouraging each other. We're all empowering each other, and we're all lending a hand wherever we can.
Well, that's really phenomenal. So everyone, we have been speaking with Lauren D'Angelo, and that's LolaYoga.com. Wonderful, wonderful insight. I really appreciated talking with you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to Women Innovators with Tammy Patzer. To learn more, please go to womeninnovatorsradio.com. And please do subscribe and share to spread the big messages and big missions to change the world.